Alright, day 3 of Hearthstone this week, and we have switched gears a bit. We're still playing a Druid deck, but this time this is more of a Malygos deck. Here he is, hiding down here. Spell damage +5. This was the first legendary I ever got. And I used him in a while in my mage that I had in the very beginning because I just didn't have very many good cards, and I feel like I got his effect a couple times. It was fun with Arcane Missiles. But viable Malygos decks have been few and far between for most of Hearthstone's life. You can occasionally get away with a couple of them, and Druid was one of them, mainly because of Moonfire, which on the surface is just 0 mana for 1 damage, but that becomes 6 damage when Malygos is on the field. So in theory, between that and, say, Living Roots, well, that's all of a sudden, oh, I don't know, 6 and 6 and 7, that's 19 damage if we can keep 3 of those in our hand. When we pair it with Malygos, 19 damage out of hand is pretty good. It's a problem against, like, Control Warriors or something, but that's neither here nor there. So most of this deck is just focused on spells and getting the big combo in the hand and trying to do as much as we can to keep board control through that point so that we can maybe like poke at his health a little bit. Just kind of couple health here, a couple damage there, do what we can, and then 19 damage is what we're looking for ideally. And if we get it lower because we have board control, then we can do smaller versions of it. So what do we have here? Well, the big stuff is mainly built around the idea that we have a lot of spells in this deck. So we have 2 Gadgets and Auctioneers, and those work very nicely with Innervates and Moonfires and double Raven Idol, which can then get more spells if you want to go that route, and double Living Roots because we really only need to keep 1 for the combo for trying to play it all in 1 turn. It's a combo deck, so we have an Emperor Thaurissan because that's what you do, and then anything, if we can tick down Malygos and say a Living Root or even like a Swipe or something, then all of a sudden we have a lot more combinations with Malygos. And the other high-end thing that's important is Yogg-Saron. We played a Yogg-Saron deck just one day in a previous set of videos, and obviously if we're going to be casting 15 plus spells, then we can just toss him out if we're behind or even on the board and see what happens. Sometimes we'll end up murdering ourselves. In that game, we got a clutch eye for an eye and we managed to win. You just never know. Besides that, we just have good cards in here. We have a couple of Druids of the Claw because they're flexible and good. It's a nice way to get late game damage as well if we've got them close and we can't quite do it with the Malygos combo. We switch them to a Charger and do 4 more damage that way. 1 Azure Drake for the card draw and a little bit of spell damage. It can work in conjunction with some other stuff, particularly Swipe. Anything that boosts Swipe is good, so on turn 9 we have the option of dropping both, and then Swipe doing 5 damage to one thing and 2 to the rest is very good. We also have a card I'm not completely sold on, but the Jungle Moonkin, a 4/4 for 4, which is decently statted. And both players getting spell damage +2. Again, we're looking for that in conjunction with Swipe, because then it's a 6 damage and 3 to everything else. Works with Wrath. And it does work with these if we're super desperate and we need to burn part of our combo just to stay alive. Not an ideal situation, but it's okay. And then the rest of this is just mid-range stuff that's intended to keep our opponents busy. Now, I do actually think I might want to make a change to this deck because it doesn't have Fendril in it. But we're running 2 Violet Teachers to work again with all the spells that we have. 3/5 for 4 is fine, and then being able to summon a couple of 1/1s off of it makes it very strong. And then we have a couple of spells in the mid-range that are just there to help us get to our destination. We have a little bit of ramp elements with the 1 Mire Keeper, the 2 Wild Growths, and we also have 1 Feral Rage. And if I'm going to truly make this a Fendril-oriented kind of Malygos deck, I can really make a case for 2 Feral Rages. They work fine playing them just on their own, but playing them in conjunction with Fendril is very, very good. It gives you essentially instant removal that you have the armor to absorb. Trying to decide what I would take out if I wanted to do that. That Power of the Wild is in there because it's flexible. I mean, you can summon a 3/2 with it. If you play it with Violet Teacher, the 1/1 that's summoned from the Violet Teacher also gets the +1/+1. But I think we're going to toss it to make room for Fandral. Now, I could also make a case for a second Feral Rage here. Our curve's a little bit dicey, and Feral Rage does fill the 3 slot nicely. I'm not entirely sure what we would drop. We do have 1 Nourish because it is a spell and it lets us get card draw, and we're all about card draw. I could drop the Jungle Moonkin. Just be like, I'm not about that life, sorry. Because obviously there's the danger here of you play this and you clear it how you need to, but then your opponent has spell damage +2, and you know, that's pretty strong. We're a little stacked in the 4 area, so I think we'll try it that way. And we'll see how the Feral Rages do. We might decide we hate them. I don't know. I don't want to hate them, but I will if I need to. So we'll see how it goes. There's a lot of synergy here, but as with a lot of combo decks, if you have to break up the combo to stay alive, you're in severe trouble because we don't have a lot of late-game conditions. It's part of why Yogg-Saron's in here, just to give us something else for the late game if our plan goes disastrously wrong. And I played the wrong deck. I just realized this is the ramp deck. So that's what we're doing today, and tomorrow we're going to totally do that deck I just talked all that time about. Admittedly, I used to name all my decks, and you probably saw that if you followed some of the early videos in the series, and then since the standard Wild Switch came out, I haven't been doing it as much. And so all my decks are just named Custom Blank and Custom 2 Blank. It's a little hard to distinguish. God, in this spot against what is presumably Zoo, I might almost just Raven Idol again. Feels bad. I think we're going to Starfire. I don't like that. Because, I mean, next turn, if we really want to, we can Druid of the Claw. This is all standard so far. We'd be a little bit worried about Power Overwhelming then, but even then... Oh, that's much better. That's what we want. We like to innovate out things that help work on the board, but also then increase our mana for the long run. Because now we can still Druid of the Claw next turn. We just got to fend off enough threats for the time being that we can live to where we'll have clear advantage of both mana and hand.
Greetings from beyond the grave.
That's an interesting one.
Where shall I strike?
That makes the most sense. You can keep that Raven Idol for a turn that we can't be the most mana efficient. Have one weird leftover mana, then you Raven Idol. Now, if you have planned that turn out, you do that first, just in case you pick up something that you would rather play instead, but the same idea is true.
So many possibilities.
I have a specific card in mind for that Starfire to be a target for. We'll see if it comes up. That was not the target, but I don't mind it per se. I think we're just going to take it out and nourish. That seems fine. Get some lovely card draws. We have more things in hand for Thaurissan potentially next turn. And okay. That changes things a little bit, I suppose. Do I really want to innervate Hero Power just to get rid of the Toss Dingo, though? I don't think I do. Nah, let's do it.
I wonder. All the while, feel my wrath.
Whole time thinking of keeping things as clear as possible and then start pushing our advantage here.
You call that?
I think we're just going to do this. Got a lot of cards we can tick down with it. We're not that worried about his board. I'm going to make his Starfire the Dark Iron Dwarf, but I don't know that I care. We are at potential Siphon Soul turn.
Stop yelling!
And there goes Bran. I don't know what the thought process is here. It would seem to be pretty straightforward. Yeah, that's part of it. Are you going to hero power or not? There you go. You can make a case for having done that before discarding for Soulfire, but you can also make a case against it. That Fendril is awfully tempting, but it wouldn't get to stick around. I think we're just going to start with this because it's free. Yeah, Volcanic Lumberer seems fine for later. So we're very likely going to play the Kraken next turn. And with that in mind...
For the wild.
That kills the Imp Gang boss pretty cleanly. It's funny that shows up right after I play the Starfire. That was who I intended to use it on. That Master Jouster does become mighty tempting now with the board that he has out. Won that by just a little bit.
For the wild.
We're just gonna hope he doesn't have clean removal for it.
Tazdingo! Yes.
That's fine. These are all expected things. Here's the problem, though. You thought that 5/5 was safe. You were wrong. You were very wrong.
Elune, guide my
For
lands.
the wild.
Alright, I feel much better about things now than I did a turn ago. Not that I was super worried, but that was a good turn for us. We would love to find a swipe. I mean, I don't know if he had much of an option there, but he just threw his entire board at that and didn't even manage to kill it. So we have a decision to make here. We have such a clean trade over there that I can't help but think I want to take it.
I'm invincible.
I want to hit him in the face. Nah, this is more fun.
Elune, guide my lands.
For the wild.
You can keep your other moves. That's fine. Just gonna try and dissuade you from mana tapping a little bit. Life tapping, rather. Not mana tapping. This isn't magic.
So many possibilities.
It's really not that many possibilities, actually. Now, another option last turn would have been to keep the Black Knight at more full health and trade the 5/1 into the Imp King boss.
I wonder.
Also viable. At this point, I don't know that it matters.
I am Rafal, the supreme archaeologist.
Well, that's a thing you can do with all your mana. Now, having done that with all your mana, you're dead. But that is a thing you can do, yes.
I'm invincible.
Again, I don't know what was supposed to have happened in that spot. He was pretty much just done, but the correct play was, I don't know, life tap and try and draw something that would actually keep you alive and not whatever that just was. But, you know, I'm not the best either. Maybe I'm mistaken. And we don't know what he had in his hand, what the other card was. I don't know what he draws into there. A Power Overwhelming was a start, but it's a moot point. In any case, that's truly the end of this deck. Look, I'm going to switch right now. We'll play the Malagos Druid tomorrow, for real, and we'll see how it goes.